want to write them down, you can. So you've got time to grab a pen or a pencil just now while we warm our feet up. So we're going to mobilise our feet. And this just gives people time to find, if they want to do a little mark about how their bodies are. And we're going to go through a list of kind of assessments. But they're really quite fun in lots of ways because they kind of challenge us a little bit. And so we're going to do them this morning. So once you've done that, or while you're doing that, but you can also just make a note on your phone or make a note in your head, you know, roughly where you're at. So they're quite tactile tests and assessments. So we're going to do them. And then we're also going to do hypopressives, of course. So we're going to look at the apnea a little bit again, just going back over the key points. And we're going to go over the key points of why we do active stretching as well. So and yeah, just play around with it a little bit today as a wee intro to the new block, and also so you've got something to look back on and see how your body's doing. Now, it's always nice. So mobilising the top of this foot to begin with. Don't worry, we're going to do lots of breath work as well. So there's going to be lots of that in here too. So warming up the foot and then warming up the other foot too. So make sure you've got both. Okay. So we're going to do a cough test. We're going to think about where our rib cage is. We're going to think about how our posture is, all sorts of different things this morning, and just checking in with ourselves. And you might have noticed changes in your body in the posture one already since the last sessions that we've done. Okay, so warming up. Yeah, and the if you haven't joined the membership thing with the Video Vault, do, because it's free that way. And I'm going to keep adding more and more videos to it. And I'm going to record ones especially for that as well. So once you have done your warming up of your foot, we're going to do no breath warm up this morning because we're going to just get straight into some little tests that we can have fun with. The first one, I'm going to get you just to either sit or lie down. It's entirely up to you. And we are going to count how many breaths we do in a minute. And again, we've done this before, but we're just going to have another little look at this. A breath cycle is an inhale and an exhale. And I'm going to time you for 30 seconds. And then we are going to, it's quite good fun. I like this stuff. It's quite good fun. And then we are going to, once we've timed for 30 seconds, then we're going to multiply that by 2. So hopefully your 2 times table is better than my 11-year-olds. So breath cycle, inhale, exhale. And I don't want you to play around with it any, I just would like you to do your nice natural breathing cycle. So find a relaxed position, either sitting or standing or lying down. It's entirely up to you where you want to be. And we're going to start the 30 seconds. Oh, we'll just wait till the last couple arrive. Okay. Hello, good morning, guys. So we're doing a little warm up kind of breath cycle test. So we're going to inhale and exhale. That's one cycle. You're going to count them for 30 seconds. Okay. I got this on like 20 minutes, my timer. I don't really think you want to be going for that long. We're just going to do a series of quick assessments. Okay, are we ready? Let's do it. So, first breath cycle. Stop. Okay, so take the number that you got and multiply it by 2. So a regular breath cycle that is not too hyperventilating, is between 10 and 20. So that's a regular breath cycle. Anything above 20 is seen as being quite hyperventilating or too fast. I would love you to be on the lower end of that scale rather than the higher end of that scale. So if you're up about 16, 17, then by the end of the summer, it'd be nice to find you down about 12, 14. So we want to come towards the bottom of the scale and reduce that more. And it gives you something to kind of aim for with that breath. And the reason for that, remember, is because we want to really talk to the nervous system. We want to have enough CO2 leaving our body slowly. And we want to use that inhale to really activate the diaphragm. Okay, so the next one we're going to do is lying down. We're going to go down and do what's called the cough test, and we're going to do 2 cough tests. One is to look at how well your abdominals, your transverse muscle is working, and your obliques. And the second one is to check how well your vulva is working. So we are going to do both of these, and I'm going to give you the scale after we've done the first test of it. So we're going to come to lie down on our backs, knees bent, feet flat on the floor. You don't need to think about anything to do with this, it's just lying down. Okay, it's easier to do these tests lying down than standing up because our diaphragm's not working as a postural muscle. So I'd like you to put your hands on your abdominals, and I'd like you to cough. So you're going to do 1 cough and feel what happens with your abdominal muscles. Okay, so now the scale is this, and we're going to do it again so you can think about where your scale is. If your belly comes up, stays up for ages, takes a really long time to come back down again, it's a 3. If it comes up and then goes back down quite quickly, it's a 2. If it stays where it is, it's a 1. And if it goes in the way, it's a 0. So you're going to test yourself again, thinking about that. 3 is taking loads of time, all the way down to 0. And cough again, see where you're at. Okay, and make a mark of that if you want to, or just remember where you were at for next time, because we're going to do this again right at the end. So then we're going to take our hand and we're going to place it. So this is the same scale. We're going to place it on our vulva area. And you're going to cough again. What do you feel? Again, a 3 is if the whole of your kind of vulva area comes out into your hand and then takes ages to go back down. A 2 is if it comes out and goes back in really quickly. A 1 is if it kind of stays where it is. And a 0 is if it goes back up. So it like absorbs back up inside. Now what we're testing here again, and what we were testing with the abdominals, is how well our body manages the pressure or absorbs the pressure. Does it counteract the pressure, or does it just let the pressure go? And that's what we're looking for. So we're looking to test that. So have another cough if you want to, just to double check your marks, either of the abdominals or the vulva area. Excellent. Okay, so now we're lying on the floor, and I don't want you to adjust anything, but I'd like you to think how you feel your pelvis is. Do you feel that you're sitting to the back of your pelvis towards your coccyx? Or do you feel like you're sitting towards the back of your pelvis towards the top of lower back? So do you feel so don't change anything at the moment, just have a feel of where you are. So if you feel like you're sitting so that your coccyx you're more onto the coccyx side of your pelvis, this is showing us that you're more likely to be in a bit of an anterior tilt, so your pelvis tilting forwards, and that feels natural to you. If you feel that your back of your pelvis is pressing closer towards the floor and your lower back is closer to the floor, that shows us that you're in a posterior tilt, so you're more tucking your tailbone under. So have a think about where you feel you are. And don't change anything just now, just leave it where it is. So where are you, forwards or backwards? Now, before changing anything or adapting anything, I'd like you to think about where your rib cage is in relation to the floor. Do you feel that your rib cage is off the floor? Is it all off the floor? Is the top of your rib cage on the floor and the bottom of your rib cage off the floor? Is the bottom of your rib cage on the floor and the top of your rib cage off the floor? Or do you feel that the whole of the back of your rib cage is on the floor? So we're going to find out a little bit about this in a minute. So we're either coming from a point of view where you've got your pelvis tilted forward and your rib cage is lifted off the floor because your pelvis is tilted forward, or you might have your pelvis tilted towards the floor and the top of your rib cage is more light on the floor. Then that might be because you've got your pelvis is rotated back the way, taking you into a more kyphotic spine rather than a lordotic spine. So think about where it is just now, and now we're going to change one thing. I would like you to change where your pelvis is. I'd like you to take your pelvis to a neutral position. So you can rock through the pelvis, forwards and backwards. And then I'd like you to be aware of the 2 bones on the side of your pelvis, the ASIS bones. These ones we think are our hips. And I'd like you to make sure they're even, so that one of them isn't tilting down or the other one tilting down more than the other. So we've got this nice flat, beautiful neutral playing ground. Now, once you've found that, I'd like you to think about where your rib cage is now. Is your rib cage more evenly distributed on the floor than it was before? And if it is, that means that it was your pelvis affecting your rib cage. If when you come to a neutral pelvis, your rib cage is still tilted off the floor, the lower rib cage off the floor, or the whole of your rib cage off the floor, that tells us that you have a flare in your rib cage. So if you're making a mark, put rib flare. If you find that you've come to a neutral pelvis and the back of your rib cage is now on the floor and the top of your rib cage is off the floor, that tells us that we've got a little bit of a gripping in the rib cage at the front and more of a kyphotic spine. Okay, so now I'd like you to find your neutral pelvis, your rib cage, as much of your rib cage as comfortably on the floor as you can, so that you have a little gap or a lightness underneath your belly button. And now I'd like you to think about where your head is. Do you find that your head is tilting so you're looking down towards your breasts? Are you looking straight up towards the ceiling, or are you looking over the top of your head? Okay. So if you're looking down towards your breasts a little bit more, that's telling me that you've got a more of a kyphotic spine, where your whole body's starting to curl in the way into this kind of red light curl, which is a protection stance. And it's okay, you know, your body's doing it because it thinks it needs to. If your eyes are looking straight up towards the ceiling, happy days. And if you're looking a little bit over the top of your head, then that's telling me that you've got a bit of a forward-facing head position, which means that your neck and posterior chain's working really, really hard. So we're looking for changes in this by the end of our this block of sessions, classes. Okay, so now we've done all those tests, let's do some breathing. So I'd like you to find the back of your head on the floor, so that occiput bone. So if you put your hands up the back of your neck and feel that bony bit as you come up, so you come around the little curve and there's a bone, I'd like you to place that on the floor if you can. If you're not finding that comfortable, grab yourself something to put underneath your head. So now, I'd like you just to breathe. So you're just going to breathe, just find your own natural cadence. Okay. And now as you breathe, I'd like you to bring your awareness to where you're breathing. So I'd like you to think about, are you recruiting your abdominal muscles first? So as you inhale, do your abdominals move first? Hopefully not, but they might, you know. And as you inhale, is it your chest that moves first, your upper chest? Or as you inhale, do you feel your rib cage expanding? Good. If you feel your belly is starting the process, then remember that's a little bit too much belly breathing and just predominantly breathing into your belly, which means that any pressure increase in the body is going to come straight through this area, the abdominals, or straight into your pelvis. It'll find a weak area or your back. If you're breathing into your upper chest, that could mean that you're just going through a really anxious period just now and a bit stressful. And if you're, or perhaps you're favouring this type of breathing. So we'd like to bring the breath into your rib cage. So we're going to place our hands around the sides of our rib cage towards the bottom initially. I'd like you to have your fingers to the front and your thumbs to the back. And we're going to take some nice big slow breaths here. Inhaling through your nose and exhaling either through a nice relaxed jaw or through your nose, but with a relaxed jaw. So just carry on breathing here for a bit. And just feel that expansion. Now, the next three breaths that we're going to take, I'd like you to breathe into the sides of your rib cage and then really feel the back of your rib cage in the floor. So we're breathing into the back of our rib cage to send the air back there. So it's sides of our rib cage, back of our rib cage. And then exhale. The exhale is all about putting the brakes on the exhale. So instead of allowing it to kind of drift back down naturally, we're slowing it down. So it's like we're going down a hill and we're just applying the brakes steadily. So we come to a gentle halt at the bottom of the hill. So inhaling wide, it's our activation. Exhale, put the brakes on. Good. Now, this time, for the next three, I'd like you to think about your sternum. So your sternum comes from, it's a whole plate that protects your heart and your organs. So you've got this whole plate that comes from here, where your ribs, the last attached ribs start, and all the way up to the top by your clavicle. So I'd like you to think about this whole area. As we inhale, I'd like you to think about the top of your sternum reaching up to underneath your chin, and I'd like you to think about the bottom of your sternum widening a little. So we've got this beautiful kind of opening in the sternal area. If it's a cue too far, just think about the top of the sternum. So we're going to inhale into the sides of our rib cage, inhale into the back of our rib cage, and think about the sternum widening and lifting, but lifting straight up. So we're not pushing it forwards into a flare, we're lifting it up. So we're creating this length and stretch through our body. Good. So 3 breaths like this. Inhaling into the sides of your ribs, the back of your ribs, and the sternum. And then exhaling, putting those brakes on. Excellent. And one more. Let's do 2 more actually. One more, just on your own, really focusing on that movement. So when we bring awareness to all these parts of our body and start to really think about where they are and where they're placed, what it does is it gives us a great baseline for our body. Obviously, when we're going through our daily life, we're not always going to have a neutral pelvis and we're always going to have our rib cage properly in place, but our body needs to know that where to come back to, like coming home. So we're going to do 3 breaths now. Inhaling for 4, exhaling for 8 if you can. So just take it easy. If you find the 4 is too much, shorten it a little. If you find the 8 is too long, shorten it a little. So we're going to do 3 breaths and then an apnea. Just really focusing on that neutral pelvis. But I'd like you to, instead of thinking about holding the pelvis really tight, I'd like you to think about it being kind of fluid. So it's neutral, but it's got mobility within it. And the same with the rib cage, because we've got so much mobility in our body. Neutral but mobile. Keep it liquid. Okay, so we're going to do 3 breaths. Ready to inhale. In, 2, 3, 4. Out. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. In, 2, 3, 4. Out. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. In, 2, 3, 4. Out. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Close your mouth and nose. Pause. Widen your ribs for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. In, 2, 3, 4. Out. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. In, 2, 3, 4. Out. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. In, 2, 3, 4. Out. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Close your mouth and nose. Pause. And slowly widen your ribs, widening to the sides, behind, into your sternum. And while you're doing this, check in with your jaw and make sure your jaw is nice and relaxed as you widen your rib cage. Great. And once you've done that, what we're going to do is we're going to roll onto our side and come up to a standing position. Now I want to think about the spine a little bit. I've had some questions about this. So I just want to make sure that we go through this so we're all very much aware of what's going on with our spine. So I've had a few questions about spine and where we hold it. So I often say to you to lengthen through the spine. And it's not always clear what that means. So we want to make sure that we're all aware. And sometimes I say draw your sacrum to the floor and your head to the ceiling. And again, it's not always crystal clear what that means. I mean, what does that mean? So I'd like you to come to standing with your feet hip distance apart. Knees nice and soft. So these are, soft knees as well as not bending your knees. It's just about having the relaxation through your knees. So they should feel fluid or liquid. Good. And your feet on the floor should feel nice and evenly weighted. If we lift our toes up for a minute and think about the bit underneath the ball of the big toe and underneath the ball of the little toe and then our heels, I'd like that area like your tripod, and then just gently lower the toes down. Perfect. Now, spines. I'd like you to just feel where you're standing now. So relax your shoulders, give them a shake out. Relax your pelvis, give it a wiggle. Good, just nice and fluid. Give your arms a little shake. Okay, so we're feeling nice and fluid. And we are mainly fluid. We're like 80% water, so we want to feel fluid. So now what I'd like you to think about is I'd like you to think about where your spine is in your body. So you can partially close your eyes for this. And I'd like you to think about it. Let's think about it from the top down. So let's think about the vertebrae that are directly underneath our skull. And now I'd like you to just visualize the whole shape of your spine, how it goes in at your neck, it comes out around your rib cage, it goes in at your lower back, and then it comes out at your pelvis, and then the tail tucks gently underneath a little. Just visualize it. Now, as you're visualizing it, where do you see it? Do you see it right near the surface of your body? Do you see it deep inside your body? Where do you visualize it? And this is important if we're trying to find it for a session. Okay, so we never want to feel it's rigid. We never want to feel like we're really tightening it. We want to feel like the space between each of the vertebrae. So let's start again at the top. And I'd like you to think about the vertebrae in your neck. You have 5 vertebrae in your neck. So I'd like you just to think about, gently closing your eyes, I'd like you to think about creating space. So we're going to do 3 breaths and an apnea. And on each inhale, I'd like you to feel like you're creating space like through your rib cage. And on each exhale, I'd like you to think about space between each of those 5 vertebrae. And then as we do the apnea, so each inhale, we're not going to reduce the space in the vertebra. We're going to keep lengthening it a little, but just gently and not forced. Again, liquid. Okay, so ready to inhale. In, 2, 3, space. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. In, 2, 3, space. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. In, 2, 3, space. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Close your mouth and nose. Pause. Widen your ribs. As you widen your ribs, sides, back, sternum is high. The neck is nice and long. It's still relaxed. You know, we're just creating space. Almost like inserting little spongy cushions between our vertebrae. And when you need to inhale, inhale. So this time we're going to think about the neck, but we're also going to think about this whole area here in our thoracic spine. So we want to think about the space there. So just for a moment, visualize that bit. So it's gone in at our neck and it's coming out like a snake round the back of our rib cage or through our rib cage, joining with our rib cage. Okay, ready to breathe? Length into it? Let's do it. In, 2, 3, create space. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. In, 2, 3, space. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. In, 2, 3, space. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Close your mouth and nose. Pause. Widen your ribs. As you widen your ribs, thinking sides, back, sternum, I'd like you to think about that spine. It's almost like you've got your spine that's really loose and long and lengthened. So that we're stretching it, we're thinking about space between it, we're not holding it tight. Good, and when you need to inhale, inhale. Let's think about that bit that goes in, the lordotic bit that comes in here. So we've all got a little bit of lordosis here. So just visualize that for a minute in your mind's eye. And the space we're creating, each vertebra has space in between it, and we're just increasing that space a little bit. Okay, let's go for it. Ready to inhale. In, 2, 3, space. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. In, 2, 3, space. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. In, 2, 3, space. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Close your mouth and nose, pause. Widen your ribs to the sides, behind, into your sternum. And just really feel that it still feels really liquid in there. Good. And when you need to inhale, inhale here and exhale, release. Now we're going to think about the pelvis. So remember, this bit here is much more fused. So what we're thinking about is that creating length, because we've got bones that are really fused, they're actually fused together here at our sacrum. So we want to, what I'd like you to think about is the coccyx at the end and the top of the sacrum. So you're thinking about this, we're creating space in this area here when we're doing it. So it's the bottom of it. It's kind of almost like we've got these heavier bones at the bottom. And the heavier bones, as we inhale, and inhale, they're just creating space. And as we exhale, we're creating length. So they're the heavy bones that are helping to create that little bit of extra, tiny bit of traction and keeping our spine in the right place. Because otherwise it'd be like, whoa, all over the place. Okay, so find your even weight, ready to inhale. In, 2, 3, lengthen. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. In, 2, 3, that coccyx. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. In, 2, 3, lengthen. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Close your mouth and nose, pause. Widen your ribs for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale. Last visualization for our spine. So we're going to just make sure that our pelvis is now neutral, our rib cage is on top of our pelvis, shoulders nice and relaxed, chin horizontal to floor, eyes looking straight ahead. So this last visualization of our spine, what I'd like you to think about is what happens with that coccyx when we breathe. So as we inhale, your coccyx comes out from underneath a little bit, like a little crab claw, opening and then closing, or a little catch on a door. So as we inhale, I'd like you to think about that release of the coccyx. And as we exhale, I'd like you to think about that drawing into the center of your pelvis of the coccyx. So it's a little release and then a drawing in. So we should have almost like a little undulation, a mini undulation in our pelvis while we breathe. Okay, shall we go for it? Ready to inhale. Release, 2, 3, lengthen. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Release, 2, 3, lengthen. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Release, 2, 3, lengthen. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Close your mouth and nose, pause. Widen your ribs for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale here. So if we're ready to think about that release, actually as we inhale, our pelvis does tilt forwards a little, and then as we exhale, it tilts back. So it's just oscillating slightly between forward and back. We're never completely static in our bodies, and that's really important for us to know that we're not holding tight, we're holding actively. So let's shift our weight forward onto the balls of our feet now. Knees nice and soft. Let's add some arms in for some fun at the end. So we're going to stretch our hands just out towards the side. And remember, it's an active stretch. So we're not holding tight. We're feeling that kind of liquid in our body. As we inhale, we're going to bring them up in a nice big arch. And as we exhale, all the way back down again for our final inhale, exhale for today. So think about your pelvis. Think about that spine. Let's do it. Ready to inhale. In, 2, 3, down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. In, 2, 3, down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. In, 2, 3, down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Close your mouth and nose. Pause. Widen your ribs. As you widen your ribs, pressing your hands up for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3,